2 hours before her son's birthday party. 20 guests upstairs. Cake ready to go. But she's in the basement doing a 5th revision on a logo because she couldn't say no. I'm Kim Westlund. This is the Vision B-side, where we go past the highlight reel and into what actually happened. Meet my friend Humaira Akhter, or Maira. We met through a mutual friend. One call turned into an hour, and we knew instantly we had to share this conversation. Maira started her business the same season she became a mom to twins, no runway, and no plan B. Today, she helps people find the one offer that's already buried inside everything they've built. We're getting into the mess behind the beginning and why we chase 100 ideas instead of one clear lane, and how your story becomes the thing that actually shapes your work. Let's get into it. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I just want to mention, so we met not long ago through a mutual friend. And I remember us jumping on a call because that's what we do when we're introduced to somebody new. And we literally instantly just became friends. And I found our conversation went from like 0 to 100 in about a minute.
I think we talked about like almost an hour. Yeah,
we did. But we had so much alignment in our conversation around our work and our passions. And I absolutely loved the story that you told me and some of the challenges that you had when you started your business, and just how you needed to work through some messiness, and you were just really full of uncertainty, like so many of us are when we start right out of the gate. So I just, first of all, want to thank you for being here and chatting with me today and agreeing to do this. I don't think it was much of a stretch to get you to do this. But I want to start with just a bit of the backstory, if you don't mind just sharing that, because I feel it has so much value to our conversation today, and how you started your business. Because from what I recall, it was a time around when you were becoming a mom. Mm-hmm. And you had twins. And I thought, what a perfect time to start a business, right? When things are in a little bit of chaos. So Chaotic. Why don't we just start there?
Oh, my goodness. First of all, Kim, what an honor for me to be having this conversation with you. I mean, I've been on quite a few podcasts this year, but just anytime I get to talk about this, it makes me there's a little, what do you call that? I get a little teary in my eye because it is so personal. And it is so also at the same time, everything I do has a direct correlation of what happened in my life, in my business. You know, a lot of people try to separate between the two. I believe that the people who do that, they don't last very long. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So the fact that, I started my business when I did become a mom, and there was always this idea of starting a business even before that. I just never had the courage to just, like, hey, just go all in, right? Like,
yeah,
let it go. It's fine. You got this kind of voice was never there, right? And yeah, it was a big leap of faith. We didn't have a lot of runway either. When I talk to people, there are some people tell me that they have 6 months of saving. I didn't even have that.
Me neither.
I didn't have that luxury where I could tap into those savings and say, okay, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to build this thing slowly. Like a lot of people, I needed the money yesterday. I needed to land a client like yesterday, right? So with that being said, that created a lot of fear, created a lot of reactiveness, created a lot of anxiety, more uncertainty within myself. I need to make this work like now.
And so when you started it, had you just had your babies? Like, what was the timing like there?
So I quit my job in 2017, and I was still working a little bit. Yeah, I was still working corporate, when I had my kids. So I started this on the side, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't really dove into it, or I was still kind of fearful, skeptical about going all in, because I always had this thought in my mind. I would talk to my colleagues, I would talk to my coworkers, like one day I'm going to do my thing. And I even started doing MLM, which is very, when I think about it, I'm kind of, not embarrassed anymore, but I'm like, I did that where I sold products to, selling to my relatives, my friends, like, hey, skincare product, this and that. But I tried. The point is I did something where I wanted to see what it's like to sell, what it's like to...
Dipping your toe in the water,
Yeah,
right?
dipping my toe in the water and seeing how uncomfortable. And I liked that. I liked being uncomfortable for some reason. But at the same time, I wanted comfort. The security of getting paid every week, the checks coming in every 2 weeks, that's a security that is embedded, that is just ingrained in our society.
Yeah, it becomes a bit of a mindset, right?
Oh,
and
100%.
I know what you're talking about, because when I became an entrepreneur, I probably spent the first couple of years, and I think it still tries to grab a hold of me once in a while. But just that thought of the security, the whatever you want to call it, I don't even know if I'd call it security, but just that regularness. But that can also be the ceiling that holds you boxed
100%.
in a place that you can't see beyond. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
Yes. And knowing when to strike that balance, like, okay, you are pulling that comfort blanket too much, and you are so comfortable that you don't want to get out of that because it's just so good. It feels really good, right? That you don't want to let go of it and then reach for that thing that you actually want.
Do you think your twins helped you?
Yeah.
Do you think your twins helped you kind of see life differently, and you wanted a different life because they were now here?
I never thought of it that way, but I'll tell you this, that when the nurse told us that you're not just having one, you're having two, you should have seen the look on my husband's face. Like, we're not even ready for one, let alone two. I think it did teach me a lot about uncertainty and getting me ready for taking more risks in life. Everything.
Sometimes, I was just going to say, sometimes we don't know what we're capable of until we're presented with the challenge. And so I can see how that would have been a challenge. Anybody hearing they're going to have twins.
Right.
That's an added challenge there. I mean, good challenge, but it can be a little unnerving to hear those words. So yeah. So when you think about the kind of doing life aspect of things and the kind of chaos that we all feel at times, and then we have the business kind of chaos. So we can feel that sense of just so much going on. And you had newborns, and then you left your corporate job, correct?
Yeah. Then I left it was under a very unfortunate circumstance, but I also think it was a gift in disguise. It was a blessing in disguise that happened, because it really pushed me to make the decision. Like, Maira, just make the freaking decision. What are you going to do? Are you going to stay in or are you going to stay out? And I remember my mom telling me that, listen, you don't get this, this formative years of their childhood every day. It's only going to last for so long. So make a decision whether you want to stay present while they're developing, or you want to go work. And it wasn't like one or the other. Some people might hear this. Some women might hear this. Like, why can't it be both? It absolutely can be both. But for me, it felt so overwhelming, the thought of like, trying to balance work and family and
Yeah.
home and watching twins. And when we lost our childcare, all of a sudden it was like we had to let go of our babysitter um, because of the event that just happened. Um, we, I just wasn't ready to give up my boys to another childcare facility or something like that. So yeah, I made the very daunting decision of wanting to stay home, figure this out, how I could do freelancing, how I can do part-time work or anything that will come my way that I can do it.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure all of a sudden. And that can feel like,
Mm-hmm.
I've been there. I mean, I've been there under a different set of circumstances, but I lost my job at a time where I was not expecting it. I mean, I don't think anybody really does expect that, but just to you feel like, what am I going to do? How am I going to manage?
Right.
So if you're in that place of just feeling like everything is in a bit of chaos, how did you handle that? So what steps did you take to get to a place where you knew this was the business that you wanted to start?
Didn't actually. The business when I started, it was more of like whatever came my way, I took the opportunity. I had the mentality of never turn down work. If it's paid, why would you turn down a paid work? Right. But also keep in mind at that time, I didn't have the luxury to turn down paid work either, because I had, that was my mindset. Like I had to,
You had bills to
one,
pay.
you got bills to pay. There's not enough runway. There's not enough, financial stability where I can rely on and say, hey, you're not the right client. You're not, I can't work with you. But I remember this one specific moment that I will never, ever forget, Kim. When I was doing a logo design for a client, and it was a project that she, after doing like maybe fourth, fifth round revision on it, it was the birthday party. It was the second birthday of my twins. And we were 2 hours away from actually having the party. And I was downstairs in the basement still doing revisions. It makes me teary when I think about it. Like, what was I thinking? It's the day of when I have 20, 30 people coming that day. I had food upstairs. I had people talking and cheering, and my mom was helping out. Thank God my mom was there to help me out, because there's no way I could have arranged and, did all the food prep
Yeah.
and all that. She helped me with that. And thankfully I had other help as well, like friends helping me out and things like that. But
Yeah.
I just remember my husband's like, what are you doing? The party starts in 2 hours. And you're working? And I'm like, yeah, this person asked me to do a fifth revision. I have to do it, even though it's completely out of scope. We already had the scope written out. This is the max we can do. This is the project. This is the outcome. This is the deliverable. Done, right? But it
Yeah.
was stretch. I was shape-shifting.
And how did that shape what you were doing in your business at that time? How
It was,
muddled did you feel?
I didn't mind the messy middle. I didn't mind the chaos. What got to me was when I had to zoom out at some point where I just I can no longer do this. I've created the same prison. I've created the same system that existed in my corporate years.
Interesting.
What's the point of running this then? The business was supposed to give you more life, more energy, right?
Well, you started the way a lot of people do,
Yeah.
including myself. I started very similarly. And I think because of the lack of clarity and the lack of seeing things through a lens of just what the purpose is and why you started the business in the first place, or why you even wanted to do what you're doing. There's just a lack of clarity there to understand the path. And so there's desperation, and there's all these pressures and distractions, and I'll just let you maybe share how you dealt with some of those things and how you struggled through that to get to a path where it was more clear as to what you were doing.
It may sound so simple that it sounds stupid, but I will tell you that for me, a lot of people, I think, don't take the time to slow down and pause.
Yes.
Just slow down. There was 1 year where I didn't post anything on social media. There was 1 year where I didn't even bother to like change my messaging on website or anything like that. I had to just sit still and just have honest conversation with peers, mentors, and figuring out what was that I was building and why. Why does it matter to me?
And it's counterintuitive, isn't it? To have to try and sit still when you're having an absolute panicked freak out on the inside. Like, this isn't working. I have to make this work.
Right. And I think that because I've had this conversation with so many people with so many times in different lengths and different variations, I can say that like we're very much the future proofing, the future forecasting, and all that stuff can be helpful, but it also can be very destructive. And here's what I mean by that. We are constantly thinking about how we're going to move forward, but we never look back.
Yeah, that's a problem.
What shaped us? What got us here in the first place? Why are we here in the first place? Right? And I always say, I talk about the red thread theory in my process.
But tell us about that.
If you've never taken the time to figure out what your red thread is, what your through line is, what makes you you, what makes you singular, you will keep chasing the next shiny thing forever. Forever.
So I find it interesting that you're describing this, how you got started, how you kind of found yourself in a bit of chaos trying to figure out what you were doing, as many of us do and have. And one thing I've determined is that I've seen so many people that are meant to solve a problem and start work or a business around the area of the problem, but they have to go through the problem in many cases to understand the struggle themselves. And so it's interesting, right? How you started that way. You struggled with probably saying yes to everything. And now your business is so singular focused. It's so dialed down. It's so clear. So how did you get to that point? How did you bring it home and understand this is what you needed to do?
Have you heard of the I'm gonna butcher this, but the red car analogy, where it's the reticular system, the nervous reticular system, where it's kind of like when we got the van, we got the Honda Odyssey van for our twins. All of a sudden, I started seeing everyone having a van. Like everyone has that kind of same car. What is that? Your brain automatically looks for that once you have a focus. You can't hide. And once I started to come to focus, and now you can ask me now, how did you find that focus? Like I said, it's through pausing, it's through slowing down. And that's when you start to look at the patterns and you start to see where the threads start to slowly unite and come together, right? But you can't do that if you're constantly on the next, on the next, on the next, on the next. right?
So true.
And you just can't, you know?
How can someone's story shape the work that they are doing? So you talked about the through line or the red line,
Yeah,
because a lot of folks don't go back or go
sure.
back in a negative way. They don't want to, maybe they've had some terrible things. They don't want to revisit them, whatever that may be. Like, someone's story is very complicated. But how can you take somebody's story or work with them to take their story and
Hmm.
shape the work that they are doing and connect the two?
So I always, and you've probably heard this before, and I have to remind myself as well, like, whatever happened to you in life, it never happened actually to you. It happened for you, right? And the ones that actually come out of the dark side and come out of the, ashes of whatever, you will notice that there's something different about them, where they have taken whatever has happened, their low points, their turning points, all the things that have happened to them. It's like, okay, now they're figuring it's telling you something. There's a message there. What is that?
Yeah.
Right? And if you take the time to understand, to connect those dots, it will lead you to somewhere. It will tell you that that's where your future is unfolding.
Yes, absolutely. But some people, do you find, though, can get stuck in that and can get stuck in where they've been instead of looking through a lens of possibility?
Of course, yeah, and that's part of the challenge as well, right? Like, when I walk through my private clients, some of the stories, I mean, they're private, right? Like, I can't share them here. I almost feel like we all become therapists at some point if you're running a business. but
Right.
but I will say that, like, and it does go there sometimes, where it's like, there's tears, there's emotion, there's uncomfortable, and it gets really, really, uh really uncomfortable. Let's just say that. But
Mhm.
what but I have a job. I have a job in terms of, like, creating, like, seeing the possibilities through that. Because if you stayed there, I think it's very easy to stay there and just
Mhm.
say, no, this is too hurtful. I can't even wrap my head around that. And if that person's still grieving or in the process of grieving, you can't put a solution right about that. Like, let's say you
Yeah.
are someone who's going through a major crisis in life, relationship, whatever it is. You're not going to become a relationship coach all of a sudden. You haven't taken the time to understand if that's the path that you are meant to be sustaining. You know what I mean? So
I do.
and sometimes we miscontextualize our gifts.
Yeah, I mean, timing is everything for a conversation like that too. So
Yes.
even understanding the journey of where someone's at in the process. But this is the power of a coach too, is
They
to
can help you figure out. Yeah.
exactly
Hmm.
what you can't see as
Yes.
gold in your story, as a red line that can connect you to a future of however that looks in your own work.
Right.
Sometimes it would seem impossible, or who would want to know about that, or how would that even happen? People can't see that in themselves. But when you work with someone, that's where you can break through those areas because people will see it in you. And that's exactly what happened with me. So I relate to that. My story has fueled my business, and
Hmm.
a story I never thought I would share or anything. And that doesn't mean you have to stand on a stage with a microphone and share your story, but your story can impact everything that you do in
It's
future.
everything. It's
Yeah.
everything. To me, our stories are so powerful as founders, as creators, or whatever you want to call it, that it could birth something that is against what you believe, that's not morally right, that's happening around you, whether it's industry-wise, in world-wise, or it could be anything related that you feel so strongly against it.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was very much around, I didn't like how offers were being built in the business arena, in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's talk about that, because I think I've seen so many different approaches in terms of starting a business and building an online business. And I've noticed, because again, having built my own and building my own, there's so many templates out there being marketed and different ways of doing and starting business that it can be so overwhelming. We have, if you go online, you can find a solution to absolutely everything, and they're all different solutions, all competing with each other. And you're like, well, which is the right one? What do I use? Where do I start? And it can be really confusing. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you figure out what the path was for your business? Like, you wanted to create an offer, or you wanted to help guide people to create an offer.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Did you feel muddled in the process?
I would be lying to you if I didn't. Yeah. And I still think that for me, I'm not trying to prove it, but I'm also trying to demonstrate how the messiness is the gift in your business if you learn to embrace it. But at the same time, I just ran a workshop yesterday, and the outcome wasn't what I expected, but it taught me something. I learned something from that. And now I have an opportunity to iterate and get better and better and better, right?
What was the pathway? Because if you were like me, you're looking at all these different ways of starting a business, an online business, to help others, and specifically with this story. But what led you into the realization that this is really what I'm passionate about, is getting so singular focused?
I will tell you that, like, for me, and I'm sure that people who are listening had probably gone through some shape or form of this, where I've spent so much money. I have spent probably over $50,000 just buying courses, programs, all sorts of things, just to help me. Like, how do I get this? Like, what is it that I'm offering? What do I offer? And I've had many people over the years like, oh, why don't you just create a creative agency? Or, you know how to do design work. There are people who sucks at design. Maybe you can offer that, There's so many different things, possibilities, and that's the problem, because we have too many ideas. We have too many directions, right? And my niche, you'll laugh at this, is that exactly the problem that I solve is that, yes, of course, you're too close to your genius. You're never going to be able to see that. So why not help someone else who can actually help you see what you can't see for yourself?
Yes.
Right? Like, it's not possible. We're all too close to it. And the people who realizes that, they're smart enough to understand that, yes, there's always going to be value in outside perspective of how I see things. But also there's another catch here. I can't just tell you this is what you should be doing, because then you'll revert back to exactly what you were doing 6 months ago, changing your offer every 6 months, updating your website, messaging, all that stuff, right? And I saw the same problem in me. I was doing that reactively. Somebody said something, oh, this is a problem. I should solve this probably. Yeah, maybe I should go for this because there's enough need and there's money in there. Like, I will get paid handsomely for this because this problem seems to be great.
But is that the one you're supposed to be working on?
Exactly. The question I always lead with is, can you see yourself doing this in the next 5, 10, 15 years? Longer than that.
Yeah.
Nobody can
because
answer
we
me
can
that.
come up with ideas. I'm in that boat too. I'm a creative. I got ideas
Yes.
daily. I'm never without an idea. But what's the idea? What is I can't follow all these ideas. I could and be mediocre at many, many things. But I want to find the thing. What am I built for? Right? And that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes. Yes. So my I call it the Zogo framework, and I'm working on it as we speak. The Zogo framework is your zone of genius offer is in the middle, and you have it's the classic Venn diagram we all love. You've seen those Venn diagrams, right? The overlapping factor, but the intersection is so hard to get it right.
Tell me why.
You could have an offer that you absolutely love, but it doesn't make money.
True.
You could also have an offer that makes you millions, but you hate it. You despise it.
Or you're not connected to it.
So where is the sweet spot? And to find that sweet spot is exactly my point. You're too close to see it. And if it's miscontextualized, then yes, you're going to drain the energy feeling. It's not so much that we get burned out. We don't get burned out by work. We get burned out by emotional tax.
Yeah, that we do. Yes, that is absolutely true. Tell me a little bit more about that.
It's like how can I explain this? It's kind of like you stay up at night and you have a presentation to deliver the next day, and you're just kicking yourself all night. Like you don't want to do it. You hate the fact that you have to do it, and it's dragging your feet. And then there's
we've all felt that.
Yeah, and there's the other kind of burnout. You're obsessed. You're obsessed with solving that challenge because it's just so invigorating. It almost like it frees you in a way. It's an obsession.
Yeah.
That to me, I was working on my workshop last night until 1:00, and my husband's like, "Are you coming to bed?" Or I'm like, "I don't know. I might fall asleep here in the couch here at night," which I did. I fell asleep here, but I was so obsessed with it. And I know that I still have to get it right, and I have to iterate, and I have to practice more. But it's the thing that I love spending my time on.
It doesn't feel like work.
It doesn't feel like work. And so you got to find out what is how most people are tracking their time. I got to tell you, fine, that track your time, but track your energy. Track your energy. If your energy feels drained in certain projects, I talk to my clients and I can tell right away which are the projects that are draining them right away and which are the ones that lights them up. And I don't have to say anything. They see it. Now they have to make the decision what to do after that.
Exactly. But that's a really good point is how do we figure that out? And we have to, I truly believe what you said earlier. It's that constant taking a step back and gaining a little bit of distance and perspective.
Yeah.
And asking yourself some key questions. What's draining me? Like you just mentioned. Why do I feel this way? What's going on here? And it might be a little more complicated than just a simple answer, but at least you're asking the question and trying to figure out why are you in the place you're in? And why do I feel the way I'm feeling? And why do I have no energy or no ambition to continue on this particular path, whatever that looks like? But I've been with you with the too many courses and just kind of get caught in that cycle and that
it feels like momentum. Yeah, but you're really not.
But it's not.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with courses. Let's just be clear about that. There's nothing wrong with taking a course and learning. I am all about learning. And I think it's essential that we continually up-level our skills and all those things. But we can get caught in that cycle and never get off that treadmill and think that we're doing things. We're accomplishing more, but we're actually not when we're not applying the knowledge to something to make it our own. So it's a tricky thing. You have to be honest and go, am I just taking the 15th, 20th course here, paying thousands of dollars, learning just another angle of the same thing?
Yeah.
But am I actually implementing? Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. And listen, there comes a point where like I don't buy courses anymore. What I invest in right now in the stage of the business that I'm in, I'm buying access. Basically, I'm buying people I know that are amazing connectors and know that they have an audience, they have people in their orbit that are struggling, that are starving for connection to themselves and what they can offer to the world. And that's a zone of genius. That's a gift I have. Let me help you.
But you found that out.
But I found that out, right?
Yes.
I
Amazing.
know without a shadow of doubt that there are people listening to even this have that problem.
Without a doubt.
They can't figure out their next step. They can't see it. They can't visualize it. And if you can't visualize something, you can't build it. You can't work towards it.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot of ground here in terms of going back, seeing the red line or the through line.
Yes.
Understanding your unique gifts, where you shine, where you have that passion to move forward and not experience a terrible kind of burnout doing things that just aren't wired for you specifically. But I want to talk a little bit about even then when you kind of have maybe covered a few of these areas, it still takes courage to step into that place that is not known and to step into a place that you haven't been before or that feels scary or that you don't feel like you have the money for or that you don't know if you have the confidence to walk this out and show up authentically you. That is, in my opinion, one of the sweet spots that almost all of us are looking for. So how have you tackled that challenge or how do you help others tackle that?
The uncertainty or not knowing what's there. Yeah.
I think how do you help them with the courage or to see this is what you need to do to take a step forward? How do you help somebody in that area that maybe just doesn't feel confident enough?
So we're talking business-wise, right? Like we're talking like from an offer standpoint and things like that. But I can guarantee you, if I were to talk to anybody right now who has lived in this universe for more than 20, 30 years of decade, like, let's say you're 50 or 45, okay? You've lived 45 years in this world, in this universe. You've overcome. I am willing to bet you've overcome some really hardships. Things that were extremely difficult and you didn't have any certainty around that, but you did it. What surprises me is that like as humans, we know what we're capable of, but we tell ourselves stories that we can't.
This is true. We forget.
The thing that I realize, and my business coach says this a lot, that a lot of times we need to be reminded.
Yes.
We just need to be reminded what you're capable of. We need that voice in somebody other than just us, reminding that here's what you've done already. Look at your past evidence.
Yeah, and that person may not see it that way. They may think, what have I done?
Right.
But it's true. We've all overcome. If you are of any age, really, there's something in your life that you've overcome. This is why I suggest using journals. I
Yeah.
just recently went back in my journals and I revisited some things I had been through and read my notes. And it was powerful what I walked away with. Like, I forgot some of those details. And I was
Yeah, of course.
reminded, wow, I
Yeah.
went through that. And look, I'm still here. I'm a better version of myself because I learned how to get through that really difficult time. And so anybody listening, I guarantee that you have the same thing.
Skill
It's
set.
just your
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. And that's exactly the reason why I will never build somebody's offer without self-reflection. I will never
That's a key.
I will never tell someone like, hey, go build an offer without self-awareness. That's the very first step in my process. Because if you learn how to reflect, how to see what are already the gifts that you possess, and you don't need to reinvent your whole life or your whole career wheel and things like that. You don't need to find a completely different industry niche or this kind of thing. Like, look at what your existing tools already you have.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Some
bet
people
you,
think they're
yeah,
starting from scratch,
no,
but you're
no,
actually not. You're
no.
not. It's just take proper inventory of what you have
That's
currently in your
exactly right.
toolbox.
Yeah. I have a saying that I already say that like the genius is already exist inside of you. You just haven't found a way to thread it all together.
Yeah. Yeah. Does your business today, I'm curious, does it look like what you thought it would?
No, no. If you told me 5 or 10 years ago, hey, you're going to be doing this one thing, I would laugh at you because I was that interested, faceted, potentialite, creative, very diverse thinking, comes from, another country, came here in the United States, got my undergrad, got my master's. I have a very different upbringing. I come from all walks of life, different perspective, different cultures, so many different influences. And if I can figure out a way how to focus in that one area of thing that I'm absolutely passionate about, I know that I can help somebody do that.
Amazing. Oh, that's so encouraging to hear because there's hope, right? There's hope when you think, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm supposed to do. Well, look at your story and your example. So I
Yeah.
have to ask you this. What's your vision for you? Because you're in such a wonderful place. I know you've got a growing family. Just what do you feel passionate about for your future and your business and where you're headed?
I used to think about that a lot. And I even did funny like 5-year, 10-year projections, where I want to be in my business and all that. Like, honestly, I don't believe that anymore. And not in a negative way. But right now, I think for me, it's not that I don't have a vision. I have a very big vision. Um, but for me, the most thing that I am emotionally charged to do is that I have a singular mission, and which is helping people create not just the product that they love offering, but they are fully in acceptance with who they are.
Very foundational.
And that's something that, and the reason is because that's something I have to keep working on.
Yeah,
And it will
I would
never
agree.
stop.
Yes, we have to understand who we are first.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
the basis to everything. So that's
Yeah.
beautiful. The fact that you've recognized that and it's a continual act of learning and discovering and that's what I'm hearing you say is that's what's guiding you forward, which is a beautiful thing. So my last question to you today is what do you want to leave our audience with? What little nugget or takeaway do you want to share that you think is just a reminder of, or a wrap up of our conversation today, or something that you feel would just be valuable?
Yeah, I think that as we get into our adulthood, I don't know if we stop being curious, but I will say I have met a lot of people. They're always curious. They're always asking really good questions. And I really value that. I think the quality of your question determines the quality of your life. And when we when we learn how to ask good questions, it can reveal so much about the people around us.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
Sometimes we get skeptical, like, I don't know if I should ask for help or if I should ask for support. A lot of people in my circle feels that way, like they are afraid to ask for support. They're afraid to ask for help. Not necessarily afraid, but they're hesitant, like they want to look strong. They want to feel strong. Like, I got this, I can do this on my own. But, that's not that's not a lack. That's not something we should worry about. If I can see something for myself, I've gotten to a point where I'm like, you know what? You're right. I suck at this. I don't know how to do this. Or I need your help. Can you help me with this? There's a freedom in that voice. There's a freedom in that version. And it's okay.
Absolutely. Yes, that just letting our egos and our pride not stop us sometimes from reaching out and isolating ourselves and thinking we have to have it all figured out, I think is very freeing. So think about a world where people are not chasing other people's ideas and following their own path and following their own vision, like you are, like I am endeavoring to do. And knowing that, just knowing what they are specifically called to do in their own lives. I really believe that's what most people want, but maybe just haven't figured out how to do it. So hopefully today we've shared a few nuggets with you that will help you find your lane and to ultimately run the race that's designed just for you. So thank you so much, Maira, for just an enlightening conversation and for sharing your personal story and how you've helped us embrace the simplicity, right? In a very overwhelming and noisy world. And how to get so clear.
It's not getting any better either. It's just going to get noisier and noisier. And I have a strong feeling that my service, my offer is not going anywhere.
No, it's very needed right now.
So
we're going to have, that's right. So we're going to have your links and your contact information in the description. If you want to find your way into Maira's world, we'll have all of that available for you. So I just want to thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks, Maira.
Thank you.
The genius is already in you. You just haven't threaded it together yet. That's Maira's line, but it's really what every episode of the Vision B-Side comes back to. Find your lane, run your race. If this one hits something in you, don't just nod along, do something with it. Follow the show so you don't miss the next one, and send this episode to the one person you know who needs to hear it today. Thanks for being here. I'm Kim Westlund. This is the Vision B-Side, and I'll see you next time.